What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the WARFRAME video. Today we're talking about another really strong primary in the Sister of Parvos update, the Phantasma. This thing's a disgusting beam shotgun, and if you've been paying attention to all the videos on the channel from like months and months ago, even last year, we've already done a video on this weapon. But thankfully, this weapon benefits really well from all the new galvanized mods, so it got a huge bump in power, and it was also on my top 10 weapons to look out list for this new update. So, we're going to be talking about today. It destroys, but it does have some pretty glaring issues, unfortunately. So let's talk about all that stuff. But before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to the channel to keep up to date on all the videos coming out. Usually 5 videos per week, every weekday, but sometimes things happen, and it might be 4 videos that week or whatever. But make sure you're subbed to keep up to date on all that stuff, guys. All right, Phantasma. What's going on with this thing? What problems does it have? What strengths does it have? And should you get it? I'm going to start off first with, I think you should get this thing. But let's discuss why you should get this thing, in my opinion. So, the Phantasma is a beam shotgun, like I just said. So it's going to fire out 6 beams of damage when you hold on the trigger. It's full auto normally. You can press the Alt Fire button to fire off a explosion shot, which is not really the main focus of the build today. The explosion shot has the same stats basically as the primary shot, but this thing is very highly status focused. But look how it says stats per projectile. You know how I just told you it has 6 beams? That 22.2% status chance is per beam. So you're shooting that 6 beams at the same time. This thing's status chance is off the charts, guys. You're going to annihilate everything if you go for the right build here. And unfortunately, since we have such high status chance, we have basically no crit chance. We've got 3% crit chance, 1.5 multiplier. You can't really build it for crit. You technically can go with Arcane Avenger just to see some crits, but it's only a 1.5 multiplier anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. We've got 11 magazine, 12 fire rate, so you're basically reloading this thing a lot, but it's only got 0.5 second reload, so you're reloading it really fast as well. The damage types it has built into these beams is impact and radiation, so you can actually get pretty good condition overload potential here. Let's say you go for a viral heat build. You're getting impact, radiation, viral heat. That's 4 stats effects. You're getting a bunch of bang for your buck out of the new galvanized condition overload mods for primaries. The secondary shot, like I said, not a main focus of the build, but it technically has pretty high status chance and fires off secret projectiles. So, let's show it in the simulacrum real quick. First we'll show off the build, because I know that's what some people want to see. So like I said, the way that you know this is going to be good is because we're running all 3 of the galvanized new mods here. So we've got Galvanized Savvy giving us increased damage for each status effect on the enemy. And it stacks up to 2 times, and there's no cap on how many stats effects they can have on them. So big damage here. Since it's 80% damage per stats effect when it's stacked up, that's going to be about, like 300% damage right there. 320% damage-ish. And that, not to mention that we're going so high into heat procs. See, we've got 3 heat damage mods in here. Incendiary Coat, Scattering Inferno, and Blaze. That the heat weighting on our build is really high. So we get our 10 corrosive procs, we get our 10 viral procs, whatever we're trying to go for, because you can make this corrosive build turn to a viral build really easily just by switching this mod out. Same thing. I personally find the corrosive build a little bit better against armored enemies. But yeah, you can make this viral heat, you can make a corrosive heat, or other things as well. Since we're so highly weighted in the heat, we're getting so many heat procs, it melts the enemies like they're in the middle of the desert and they're a popsicle. And it's delicious for us. And most enemies will instantly die. But the big problem with this weapon is actually it's terrible. Absolutely terrible against Acolytes. If you're trying to use primaries on the steel path, like the entire main focus of this update was with these new mods, don't use this weapon. Straight up, bring a stropha, bring something else. Don't bring this to fight the Acolyte. You're going to need a different weapon to fight the Acolyte because this thing cannot do it. It gets a terrible grade in that department because the Acolyte has a special mechanic on them where it can only get 4 heat procs on them at a time. And the way that heat procs work is you usually want to stack them up really high, or especially the way that the heat procs work with this weapon, it's a bunch of heat procs at the same time getting stacked on top of each other, so it's really bad against them. But let's show it in the simulacrum here, just to show how it actually works as we finish off talking about the build. So, since we went over Galvanized Savvy and we were going all into heat right here, we have Band the Grenier. Basically makes your heat procs do a lot more damage to Grenier enemies. If you're fighting against the Corpus, of course, you'd go with the Corpus one, etc., etc. Not everyone likes these. If you don't like to run this mod, just run Prime Point Blank on that slot. It's just overall damage. You'll see more damage right here, but it's not actually giving you more damage than this mod would. And galvanized hell, you basically just need to run this because it's increased multi-shot. And we've also got galvanized acceleration, increased beam length, and on kill you get even more beam length. This thing basically becomes a sniper if you get some kills with it. So we're using no outside buffs. I can switch to a buffer build here in a second, but nothing up here would actually buff our damage. Because I know I've been doing that a lot in videos recently, and I'm not going to do that for every setup. So we've got some butchers here to get our merciless stacks up. So we're not running point blank because we have the primary merciless giving us increased damage. So a little bit of time on target, 45,000 heat procs. Now keep in mind it has no headshot multiplier on the primary beam shot, so you can technically go for headshots, but they're not really doing anything for you. So with no crit, I mean, pretty good. No riven, no crit. This thing actually has pretty decent riven stats. So, pretty good stuff there. 56 heat procs. That's why it's bad against the Acolyte, guys. You need to stack up that damage real fast. Look at this. This is a failing grade. I'm using the alt fire because it's got higher base damage. This thing cannot kill Acolytes. It's terrible. It's really, really bad. I'd honestly probably use like a Mark 1 Bratton over this. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but dang. Since this thing is so reliant on damage over time from those heat procs, look at that. Wow. I probably spam like 5 magazines of the alt fire shot because it has higher base damage, but look at how fast it can clear out these hordes of enemies. As far as weapon grades go for this thing, it's honestly an A. Excellent. Some of the best mob clearing in the game. It's not S because this thing doesn't really kill enemies through walls, to be honest. Things like the Kuvazar, Kuva Brahma, those are S tier mob clearers. But this thing is just A. It's basically a juiced up Ignis Wraith that has like no crit chance to speak of. And like you see in the gameplay footage, we were actually running Arcane Avenger. You're getting some crits in that. But yeah, this thing fires really hard or fast. Since the multi-shot on it, like beam shotguns scale with multi-shot really well, you can get stupid amounts of heat procs. Like the enemies die before you can even see how many heat procs they have on them most of the time. But the Acolyte kill speed is F-. That's not even a grade really, but it's that bad. I honestly would just say bring the glaive, bring the stropha. Like I said, we got stropha video on the channel. That will be your Acolyte clearing weapon, and that's acceptable. We have to still give it a grade against the Acolyte, and we're not bringing it to kill the Acolyte. But I just wanted to let you guys know if you are going to use this weapon, it is really not meant for that at all. So keep that in mind. Our max status potential is A. Now I know it doesn't have that many procs types. We've got 4 with the build on here. But I feel like the fact that we're getting so many heat procs, that has to be some value at least right there, right? Where the enemies are getting like 100 heat procs in like a second. The fact that it's not getting like 20 different types of procs for that galvanized CO potential, I feel like the heat actually, it's got some value to it for sure. Overall score of B, an overall better than average weapon. It's not gonna. It might be your mainstay weapon as long as you understand that you're not gonna be killing the Acolyte with it. And we did fail a 10-minute survival there, but that was the gameplay footage I had right there. I've gone longer with it. Like I said, a lot of these Steel Path missions are just like, how good was your enemy flow? Let's talk about Rivens on this thing real quick, because since the heat build is basically the best one you can go for, the God Roll Riven for this will be multi-shot, status chance, heat, and then minus whatever you get. Honestly, status chance could be replaced with damage. You could go multi-shot, damage, heat, minus slash, because it has no slash innately. Minus impact, technically. Be careful if you get a minus impact roll, though, because it might make it you're not getting all the procs you want. I don't know if it can go up to minus 100%, but that could potentially be pretty bad. Now, like I said, the elemental weighting here is very delicate. So if I put on my Riven right here, notice how it goes to 28-28. The corrosive and the heat are evenly balanced. You want to be careful because the heat weighting on here is very, very important on this weapon. So I'd say if you're going to be running 2 heat mods because you don't have heat on your Riven or something like that, make sure that one of them is incendiary coat. So we're actually making it so it's 22 heat and 18 corrosive. It doesn't sound very important, and you technically lose a little bit of damage by not running blaze, but trust me guys, the weighting is super, super important on this weapon. So we'll do the same thing with the Riven and the Simulacrum really quick. And you know what? Let's throw on the Avenger and all that. It doesn't really get powerful crits, but let's just show the crits as well. So we've got Arcane Avenger, Combat Discipline, so when we get kills, we'll lose some health and it will trigger Arcane Avenger. And we've got 2 Vigilante mods giving us increased crits. Basically, the yellow crits become orange crits sometimes, and so on and so forth. All right, we're not going to use Mirage Eclipse, that's just overkill. So, pretty quick that they die. That extra multi-shot definitely scales up really high. Keep in mind, we have maxed out Galvanized Hell, that's 230% multi-shot. With a multi-shot Riven, you can get over 400% multi-shot because it has decent Riven stats, like I said. So, Honestly, with Nidus Prime coming on the horizon, I could see the ribbons for this thing getting nerfed because this thing is really, really strong. I don't want that to happen. I'm not saying that should happen, but I think now that melees aren't the only option, they're going to start eyeing these primaries we've been having fun with for a long time, because this thing was really good before the galvanized update. I mean, it was a mainstay weapon for many people, and it still is. There's the galvanized acceleration range right there. Hit them from pretty far away. That's 40 meters-ish. Still hitting damage, so that's really good. It's basically a sniper. This thing was good before the update. Like I said, most of the videos of these weapons I'm putting out, I've already made videos on these weapons in the past, and the weapon is just, it just became better. I mean, it was already good, it's just better now. Same thing with the Exorgist, same thing with this, same thing whenever we do the Comarex video, all that stuff. Bubudiko, it was all good before, guys. It's just, you know, it's the meta of the game. You're not going to use a generic assault rifle because there's no reason to. But here we are with an infinite punch. I didn't mention this. Since I said this things like the Ignis Wraith, it has got infinite enemy body punch through, but not shooting through walls. That's the problem, and why it's not S tier on the mob clearing. It's just A tier, which, you know, A is definitely good enough, in my opinion. You know, I could graduate some A's. C's get degrees, but that's, we're looking for a little bit better, you know, a little bit more bang for our buck here if we can only equip one gun at a time in this game. All right, guys. Enough ranting for today. Now, I know later today there will be a dev stream. Keep in mind that that dev stream will have an Umbra Forma blueprint drop. I better get that. And they're going to be announcing most likely Nidus Prime, which should be coming on September 8th. They're going to be talking about Plague Star Return, and I might have to make a video on Saturday this week just because it's going to be a lot of information. We haven't gotten a dev stream in quite a while. Either way, guys, Phantasma is great. Would definitely recommend it, just not against the Acolyte, and take it easy. Peace.